Hey guys, welcome back to Mr. Levy's Math Room. I trust that you had a restful summer and you are back for some very hard but exciting work. Alright, so what we are going to be looking at today is the laws of indices. So we are going to look at the laws of indices. Alright, but before we get into all of that, let us look at what we call index form. Now, what is index form? Now, let's take this term here. So we have 8 to the third. So we have it can be written as 8 times 8 times 8. So this 8 we call it the base, and the 3 we call it the power, index, or exponent. Alright? So this small 3 up here we call it as the power, the index, or the exponent, and this 8 we say it is the base. Alright, and it is read as 8 raised to the power of 3. So it can be read as 8 raised to the power of 3. Alright, but what I want you to get is that 8 to the third power means that we have 8 how many times? 3 times. So we have the base, and then the power tells us how many times that number occurs. Alright? So it means 8 times 8 times 8. So we're multiplying 8 by itself 3 times. Alright? Okay, now let's say we have 6 to the third power, 5 to the fourth power, and 4 to the fifth power. Now they are all examples of what we call positive indices. Alright? Positive indices. Now, indexes singular, indices plural, right? So index singular and indices plural. So that's why we say indices, alright? Because we have more than one of them. Okay, now, so just get it. So we say 6 to the third power, 5 to the fourth power, and 4 to the fifth power. They're examples of positive indices. Now, a positive index is a number that is greater than 0. Alright? So once a number is greater than 0, we say it is a positive. It has a positive index, or positive. That's the number up here. Right? The small number that the base is raised to. Right? We say they are positive indices. Sorry. Now, let's just hop over to here. So we have 0 index. Right? So a number with an index or power of 0 is always equal to 1. Alright? So we have 5 to the power of 0, the result is 1. So it doesn't matter what number is raised to the power of 0, the result will always be what? Be 1. Alright? So we say any number raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Even if you have a million, and that million is raised to the power of 0, then the result is equal to 1. This number 1. Alright. So here we have it. Any number raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So just remember those basic rules. So any number raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. And positive index are those numbers greater than 0. Right? So once a number is greater than 0, say it has a positive index, right? Or power or exponent. Any one of those work, right? Okay. Now let's look at something here. So let's say we have these numbers. So we have 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Now, if we want to write this in index form, right? What do? We count up the number of times we have 3, and we make that the power, or the index, or the exponent. Alright? So in this case, how many 3's do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we now we're going to use it, because if you notice, all of these numbers are the same. So this becomes the what? The base. Alright? So we have 1. So we're going to say 3, and that is the base, they're all common. Right? And then we count the number of times we have 3 there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so we say that's 3 to the 5th power. Alright? So we read it as 3 to the 5th power. Good? Now let's say we have 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Now what do we have here? Now notice that we have different bases. In this case we have 6 and we have 2. Alright? So we are going to take the common bases, right? And since we are multiplying, so we go. So we have 6. How many times? So we take that 6 as one of the bases. How many times do we have 6? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3. So we say that 6 to the third power. Alright, but we are not finished. Let's hop over to the 2's. So we say times, and then we use 2 as our base, and then we count the number of times that we see 2 occurring. Okay? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 2 occurs there 4 times. So we use that as our power or index. Alright? So that gives us 6 to the third power times 2 to the fourth power. Alright? Okay, now let's look at another example. Now, so we have 5 times 5 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 4 times 4 times 4. What do we have here? So we notice we have 5 times 5, 6 times 6 times 6, and we have 4. So let's take 5 as one of our bases. How many times do we have 5 there? Let's count them. 1, 2. So the 5 is raised to the power of 2 times. We have 6 as one of our bases. So we do 6. And we have 6 occurring how many times? 1, 2, 3. Alright? That's to the power of 3. And then we have 4 as another base. And it occurs how many times? 1, 2, 3 times. Alright, so we have 5 to the second times 6 to the third times 4 to the third power. Alright? So that's what we have here. Now let's say we have 7 to the second power. How do we write that? 7 to the second power would be, it means that we have 7 how many times? 2 times. Right? It doesn't mean 7 multiplied by 2. Right? The index tells us how many times the base occurs. Right? Because you have some students who make the mistake of multiplying the base by the index. That's not what we're doing. The index tells us how many times the base occurs. Right? And so we have the base occurring twice. So that's 7 times 7. Alright? Now let's look at another one. We have 6 to the fourth power. Now that tells us that 6 occurs 4 times. And so we have 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. Alright? And then let's look at one more. We have 3 to the second power times 4 to the third power. Now that would be what? We have this base that we did of 3 occurring how many times? 2 times. So that gives us 3 times 3 times 4 occurring 3 times. So that's 4 times 4 times 4. Alright? So please note that. So when we have the base and the index or power exponent, it tells us how many, the number of times the base occurs. Alright? So we do not multiply the base by the index, right? At all. It doesn't happen. Alright? And so it's 7 times 7. This is 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. Alright? So that's 4 times, and 3 to the second power means 3 times 3, and 4 to the third power means 4 times 4 times 4. Alright? And so I want you to get that. And so I want you to go and practice. Just go look for some similar problems and work on them. Alright? And you should be doing well. Alright? So let's work the math. Blessings. I'll see you next time.